The finale for Secret Invasion is out, and guys, I think Marvel is about to make a lot of people angry.
That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry.
Before we get started, at 500 subs, I'm giving away the prequel comic for Spider-Man 2, so if you want to win this, get us to 500 subs and I'm giving it away. There's a lot to talk about with this episode and the series as a whole, so I'm going to quickly recap the events of the episode and just give my thoughts on what this series has all been about. This episode starts with Nick Fury going to the place where all the Skrulls live to eliminate Gravik. He's trying to find Gravik to give him the harvest so he can finally stop this war between Russia and the United States that is forming. We see President Ritson talking to Rhodey, who we know is a Skrull, trying to convince him to attack Russia, but he's having second thoughts. The Skrull Rhodey is trying everything he can do to start this war because he knows time is running out. Fury finds Gravik in the Super Skrull machine, and Fury is getting very sick from the radiation. He's sort of on his last leg, and we get a moment between Gravik and Nick Fury where they talk about everything, and yes, it was good, but it honestly kind of fell flat. Nothing really stuck out to me in this scene because Fury's kind of dying the whole time, but Fury gives him the harvest in hopes that he can finally stop all of this chaos. Gravik puts it in the machine and fires it up, hoping to kill Nick Fury in the machine while it gives him the superpowers. Only that doesn't happen. Fury actually gets the powers as well. We get a really great fight between Gravik and Nick Fury at the beginning, showcasing a little bit of the powers, but one of the biggest reveals happens. We find out that Fury is not Fury, it's Gaia. Meanwhile, back at the hospital with the president, Sonya had warned Rhodey, who we know is a Skrull again, that Fury was going to try to come and attack the president, but this was a complete ruse because they both know that he's a Skrull. So Sonya infiltrates and kills all of Gravik's men. And then, of course, the real Fury comes out after we find out that the one pretending to be Fury is actually Gaia. I think this was probably one of the best reveals that the series has done. It was a really cool twist, especially with all of the moments that we had between Gravik and Fury, now going back, realizing the whole time that it was Gaia. We then get this awesome fight between Gaia and Gravik, showcasing all of the powers of the crazy Avengers that we saw in the Harvest. We got all of the members of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America, Captain Marvel, plenty of heroes, and I really thought the action was great. While the CGI was a little bit touchy, I think it was decent for what the budget was for the show. But even with that being said, the budget for the show was extremely high, and we'll talk about that later. One of my favorite powers that Gaia used against Gravik here in this fight was Mantis's. She grows the little antennas and puts Gravik to sleep so he falls out of the sky. We then cut back to the hospital where Fury is trying desperately to convince President Ritson that Agent Rhodes is a Skrull and that he needs to stop this. It was a great game of tug of war, and I thought this was executed pretty well, to be honest. Now back at the fight, Gaia just ends up killing Gravik. And yes, this was probably the only thing that they could have done with Gravik's character being so hellbent on killing all the humans, but it's another thing that sort of fell flat because we don't get any resolution with the real Fury and Gravik. Although I did like how Gaia points out that Gravik killed her mother and her father, and this is sort of her revenge. After she kills Gravik, she releases the minds of all of the people who the Skrulls were controlling. This includes all of the people that we saw in power in the previous episodes, Everett Ross from the first episode, and then lastly, Agent Rhodes. Now here's the big problem with this. Agent Rhodes, when he wakes up, everybody else is just able to walk off. Rhodes doesn't. Meaning, is he still paralyzed? Are you trying to tell me that he has been a Skrull since Civil War? They tell him that he's been asleep for a long time, and I feel like this is going to make people so angry if they find out the events of Endgame, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. All of this stuff has been Skrull Rhodey. Now, we don't get a definitive answer, but the fact that he can't walk is kind of a telltale sign. Now, maybe he just doesn't have the machines that Tony built for his legs, but this is just crazy. And I wish we actually got an answer, but we didn't. Fury and Sonya end up killing Skrull Rhodey and protecting the president, but the president has a bad taste in his mouth. He addresses the United States and tells all of the people who may be Skrulls that we're coming to kill you and we know how to find you. So in some way, I guess Gravik did sort of succeed, causing the humans and the Skrulls to fight. And this is where I actually enjoy the plot of the show. We see various different people, random vigilantes, random criminals, random citizens, going out and shooting people thinking that they're Skrulls, and sometimes they're not. This is really intriguing to me. I really hope that they maybe do a season 2 because this whole plot with the US just going crazy over the fact that they don't know who's a Skrull and who's not is what I wanted in this series. And now with Gaia being a Super Skrull, I'm really excited to see her future in the MCU, and I hope that they utilize her more than they have with the newer characters in the newer phases. Remember, we've seen the Eternals once, Moon Knight once, Werewolf by Night once. I can name so many characters that we've been introduced to that we've only seen once and we've still been waiting to see more of. So with Gaia, I hope we maybe see her in the Marvels because I'm really enjoying her character now. But with with her being a Super Skrull, she has more powers than anybody, so I don't know how they're going to sort of balance her power. They do sort of set up a continuation of this story, whether it be in a movie or in a sequel to this season. I do think this plot of President Ritson sort of going haywire against all people who he may think are Skrulls is a very strong plot. And I hope they touch on it again, because we know for a fact that President Ritson is not going to be the president coming up in the Thunderbolts. It's going to be Thaddeus Ross. This episode ends with Fury talking to Vara again, and she's finally comfortable in her own skin, and her and Fury embrace and they go up to the Saber Station. And with that, Secret Invasion is done. In my opinion, a decent finale. Underwhelming, sure, but something I'm going to point out that's been present in pretty much every single episode of this series, once you take out the intro, the recap, and the credits, this is a 30-minute episode max. And with a show that has this high of a budget and we don't even get to see any other Avengers, it's pretty annoying. This show has not been doing well, honestly. The numbers are low, there's not much buzz about it, and I'm wondering if that has something to do with the fact that we don't get to see any of our heroes. Some people are calling this the most boring MCU show, and while I don't agree with the term boring, I do think it is a very slow burn that doesn't have the greatest payoff. Again, it's setting something else up. I wanted resolution here. We get a little bit of resolution, but not a sort of period to end the sentence. Down in the comments, let me know what you think about Rhodey being a Skrull for that long, because while we don't have a definitive answer, there's a bunch of context clues surrounding his release from that cryopod that raises a lot of eyebrows. Overall, I think I give this series a 7 out of 10. It had some really good moments early on, but I do think the middle dragged, and I don't think the resolution was as crazy or as exciting as it should have been. I did enjoy the fight between Gravik and Gaia, but I don't think it was enough to really bring this series back to the great level. I think it was good, but honestly kind of forgettable. If they do a season 2, I think they're actually going to be able to build off more of what they brought up in this first season. But with the numbers being so low for this show, I don't know if season 2 is going to be a possibility. Maybe we'll see these threads tied up in a movie like Thunderbolts or The Marvels. Again, leave your comments down below what you thought about this series as a whole. I'm really curious to see your thoughts, and I read every single comment and I most likely will respond. But yeah guys, that's Secret Invasion. I really thought this show came and went super fast, not a lot of buzz about it, and I'm hoping The Marvels that comes out in November kind of ties things up for this. Lastly, I'm giving away the Spider-Man 2 comic for free at 500 subs, so if you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe and get us to 500 so I can give it away. I'm really hoping The Marvels amps things up for the MCU and brings things together. We're finally seeing characters from different series come together again like we did in the first phase with the original Avengers, so I'm hoping we get some more of that interconnectivity in the MCU. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.